A signpost is one of these. Just one of those things that helps you when you're lost or shows you what direction things are in. So signpost language does exactly the same, and it'll really help with your IELTS listening skills. So let's have a look at some signposting words and phrases. The first ones that usually come up is how the lecturer introduces the topic. And again, this happens in nearly all of the IELTS academic listening tests. So the signpost words for introducing the topic or starting the lecture are: today we are going to talk about. The subject of today's lecture is. Welcome. The purpose of today's lecture is, or simply, in this lecture, I will talk about. So when you hear these phrases, you know that the lecture has started and you should be listening for an overview. So when you hear the overview, which will tell you the general topic of the talk, this is what you need to be listening for. In today's presentation, I will be talking about 3 points. I am going to divide this lecture into 3 parts. In the first part of the talk, I will talk about X. In the second part of the talk, I will talk about Y. These are things you need to be listening for if you have any questions about giving the overview. The lecturer, after the overview and the introduction, will then start talking about their first point. You can listen out for things like, let's start with, firstly, to begin with, the first reason is, and at the end of that section, they will usually sum up that last point. So when you know a section or a point is coming to an end, you can listen out for things like, to recap, to conclude, I've now spoken about X. So how do you know when they're moving to a new section or a new point of their academic lecture or talk? They will say something like, moving on. Now I would like to talk about. The next part of my lecture is, or I'd now like to discuss. Other things you need to listen out for, because quite often in the IELTS listening task, part 4, you'll be asked to write down the examples that the lecturer give. So always listen out for these signposting words for examples. 3 examples of this are, for instance. A striking example of this is, or simply, for example, or for instance. Always have these words ready so you can predict when you are going to have a look. Finally, at the end of the talk, we need to know that it's over. So some signpost words for the end is, in conclusion. To sum up, the 3 main points were, thank you for listening, any questions? If you would like to try out these words, check out the listening test that I have uploaded recently right here, and you can test your signposting skills. Good luck and smash those exams.